Hey, hello everybody. Good morning. Thank you for attending. This is a really important open office hours. I know you're knee deep in getting your new people on board and doing all your contracts and whatever. So we're going to try to make it easier on the TFFR side for you to add each of your members. I should just say, by the way, I'm Tammy Volkert. If you are new to the TFFR stuff, and I've got Denise Weeks on with me also. She is our return to teach guru, so she'll be taking over that portion of our presentation after I go through a couple things with you. I'm going to turn my camera off just so you guys can see the whole screen, and let's get started. So next slide. For those of you, oh, she showed her cute puppy there just for a second. It was a squirrel moment for me. I love dogs, for those of you that know me. Anyway, so the Teachers Fund for Retirement, what is it? And, oh, there she is. It is a qualified defined benefit public pension plan. And what that means is that your members and your teachers that are reported to us, a defined benefit means that based on their high 3 salaries, which we determine when they retire, they will get a benefit that's picked for them based on those salaries. And then they get that for the rest of their life, which is a wonderful benefit. If you've got people that question why they're having to take it out of their check or whatever, this is a great way to say that, you know what, when you retire, you're going to have a pension for the rest of your life. And if they happen to pick joint survivorship, their surviving spouse or children or whatever can carry that on also. But that's a whole other topic that they can talk to our member specialists about. But that's what it means. And we are the program administrator for that. So all the retirements that come through our office. So your licensed teachers need to be employed by a public school or state institution. We get asked this a lot about private schools, like we have St. Mary's High School in Bismarck. Those teachers are not reported to us. It has to be a public school. And you report anybody who's doing teaching, supervisory, administrative, or extracurricular services. That's what they have. That's the duties they have to be doing. A lot of time, I mean, most of the time, bus drivers, that type of thing are reported to PERS. That's not reported to us. It doesn't fall under one of those curriculum to be reported. We have almost 26,000 members, which is crazy for the state of North Dakota. And you can see them broken out there by active, retired, and inactive members. And we had 204 employers. Last year, we ended up at 201. So we have had a couple consolidations and we've had a couple schools close, which you guys have probably heard in the grapevine also. But we are at 201 starting out the 26-27 school year. Next slide, please. So your responsibilities as an employer and as a reporting business manager, what do I need to be doing? The first thing you need to do is to determine who should you report to us, determining their eligibility. And it requires 2 things. They have to be licensed through ESPB in North Dakota. So they have to have an ESPB valid license. And then they also have to have something in writing. So there has to be a contract, a written agreement, something that's saying this person is going to work for us for this school year, can say, you know, this is the time frame or this is the pay they're going to receive, but there has to be something in writing. So once you've got those 2 things, and then again, like I said, they have to fall under a teaching, a supervisory, administrative, or extracurricular duty, then they should be reported to TFFR. If they don't have any of those things, then you probably want to look at PERS because they could probably be reported there. And then you need to enroll them, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we have a wizard on our new system, our new software system, and it's we used to do everything by paper, and you had to fill out the paperwork and send it in. Now you can just go right onto your dashboard, and you'll create an enrollment, and I'll show you how to do that. Also, a good little tip here is you can go on to ESPB if you're not sure if they have a valid license or what kind of license they have. You can look them up. You can look them up by the person, and it's got all their credentials. It shows the classes they've taken, and it shows you what kind of license they have. And I just want to say there are 2 licenses that are not reportable to us. There's a teacher's permit, which is for people who are, like if you have a lawyer in town and he says, hey, I can help you do your business law class. They give him a teacher's permit. He does not have the credentials to be a teacher, but he can help you in the classroom. That's not reportable to us. And then if they just have a subbing license, that's not reportable to us. Everything else is. And then you also need to complete and submit accurate member information. So when we're going through this create an enrollment, we want to make sure that the hire date is correct. We want to make sure the salary is correct that you're putting on there. Our old system, we didn't have to, we had everything on paper and that's how we worked. The system now is smart enough where if you put a hire date of October, but you're going to report them on your September report, it's going to kick it back to you. It's going to say there's an error. So this is why it really needs to be accurate now. We have a system that is validating all of the information that you're inputting. It's very important to have it correct. And then every month, you're required to report the eligible salary and then pay those contributions that are owed on the salary. And it needs to be due, it's always due by the 15th of the month. Like the August report is due September 15th. It's always the 15th of the month after the month you're reporting. And it has to be on time. That was another thing with our system. It was all manual for us if somebody was late. Now the system automatically dings you $250 and interest. So we don't even have control of it anymore. But so you want to make sure, and you guys, I have to say, you guys have done an excellent job on this. We had a wonderful year end. Usually we were still working on year end with our old system, and we've been done for a couple of weeks. So you really came through and got your reports on by the 15th, and it's our fiscal department thanks you because they were able to move forward. Make sure, and this is really important for right now, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to show you how to do this, but make sure if you have not updated your model, and this has to be done every year. In our old system, it was, you didn't even put it into the system. We had it on, we put it in for you. On this one, you need to update your model every year to show if you've changed or if you're staying the same. Either way, it needs to be updated. And like I said, I'll show you those screens. And then you need to report your return to teach. So anybody who has retired and has come back to work to help you with some classes that you're trying to fill, that type of thing. If they're subbing, we're going to talk about that. Most time that is not reportable. And Denise will go into more detail on that. So I'll leave that there. So now the next screen is going to show us, I'm going to talk about enrolling members because that's what that's our main goal today. If you have a new teacher starting, or if you have a teacher that was gone for a year and came back, you need to re-enroll that person also. Also, you need to do an enrollment for your return to teach. So those you do every year. If you've got somebody who's coming back that's retired, and let's say they worked for you last year, you need to do this every year. They're collecting a benefit, and so they do need to be monitored by our office to make sure that they're staying within the limits of how many hours, and then just what are they doing, coming back. We have to make sure we are monitoring that. So if you have a new teacher, you just do it once unless they leave for a year and come back. Your retired teachers are going to do it every year. And this is where you're going to do it. You're going to go into that create an enrollment on your dashboard. Next screen, please. And I just want to go through the types of new enrollments, and then I'm going to show you on our test site how you do that. So the first option there is new enrollment. This is going to be for 95% of your people. You're going to do a new enrollment. Whether the return to payroll gets a little confusing because it sounds like that should be for your retired teachers, but you're also going to do them as a new enrollment. You'll see where it says including new members, returning members, and retiree return to work. Always a new enrollment. The return to payroll is for people that have left. They've taken a leave of absence, like for the military, and we do monitor that on the member side. So you don't need to worry about that. In fact, I'm going to say, I think if this happens, Denise or somebody from her side will tell you to use the return to payroll. So don't pick that one. Pick the new enrollment for most of yours. Also, the employment change. A lot of you have been using that also. That's only if their status changes. Like if they were part-time and now they're going to be full-time. Again, unless you're really getting direction from our office, I wouldn't, don't pick the employment change. And then I am going to talk a little bit about the termination too, because we dealt with that a lot at the end of the year, a couple months ago. So I will go through the termination. We do require that when somebody retires or resigns. And so it is a very important step that we're requiring you guys to do now so that we can close stuff out so people can get their benefits, or if they want a refund, that termination needs to be done. But I will come back to that too when I show it on the screen. So now I'm going to go through the live demo, and I am going to share my screen. Can you guys see that? Good.
I can't see anything, Tammy.
I can't see anything. I think you have to
move it over here. Is that?
bring it to the screen.
Oh, now you're seeing my, let's do a stop sharing.
I think you share the win.
Oh, no.
There you go. I see a screen now, Tammy, but yours looks like
get
our screen.
There.
There we go.
Good.
There we
go. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm in our test system, and what I want to do first is I've got a brand new teacher starting. So I'm going to go ahead and create an enrollment, and it's this tile right here, right next to your upload the file that you do every month for us for the reports. Go to create an enrollment. And like I said, 95% of yours are going to be a new enrollment. So pick that one. And I don't know if Shannon is on from Oaks, but Shannon, I'm using your database. So if you see anything familiar, I will not show anything confidential. So you can rest assured there. But if you see anything that looks like your screen, Shannon's been a trooper through all of this system. So thank you. I'm going to do next. And then you're going to pick your school. So we're going to pick Oaks. And next. And then I'm going to make up a social security number. So let's do this. And then and this is where you'd put your employee's valid social security number in. We're going to pick a date of birth. Oops. Do a gender, marital status, first name. I give my dog a job. She needs to work. And primary phone number. We don't need any of that. And then we're going to do the email. So that's what you need for, and you can put a middle name in if you want. The only ones you have to worry about are the asterisk ones. We're going to hit next.
Tammy, just one question before you go to that next screen. So if they don't have any of those items, if they don't have a social security number, how should they handle that?
We just tell them to wait, and that happens a lot with the J1 visa people. So if you have somebody coming in and they don't have a social security number yet, that's our driving. I mean, we need the SSN, so you'll have to wait until they get it. So just don't. And we have had a couple of schools where it takes a couple months for them to get that. We just tell you to, of course, don't report them because we do need it to be able to report them. And then when you are able to add them and get them on, you can make up the salary. It doesn't have to be in the month as long as it's in the correct fiscal year. So you could just double up on, like, let's say the October report if they have their social security number at that point. But yeah, they will have to hold off if they don't have it.
Tammy, I have another question.
Sure.
If they're already in our system, let's say they are new to the Oaks school, but they came from Bismarck, for example, by putting in the social security number, all of that employee detail, will that automatically be pre-populated?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I was going to say you might know that answer too. I'm pretty sure it does, if I remember right.
Okay, that's what I was.
But it makes sense that it would. I'm almost positive. I've seen, I've walked people through it.
Yep.
Yep.
So just we ask that you verify and make sure that everything is correct, such as the address, for example. Make sure the address is correct. And
update anything in there that if you see something different, go ahead and update it. to what you have as valid. Pick Mandan. Oh, that's correct. Dakota. And then what I'm going to do is, we always suggest, we tell you should validate that address. So go ahead. Oh, normally this works. I'm just not going to worry about it.
In the testing region, it does
It
not
doesn't.
work.
Okay.
Right. Just in
Okay,
the
so I'm
testing
gonna-
region, it should work in
Okay.
production.
Okay. Yep. Then you would just validate it and then click the button that says it has been validated. It's going to bring up the fund program automatically. And then in here, we want to make sure that they have something in writing, otherwise they're not reportable. So that should always be yes. And then if they're a full-time teacher, they'll max at 700. If you have a return to teach, we want the actual hours. So let's say you have an administrator who has a 12-month contract, you'd put 1,000 in there because they can work up to 1,000 hours. If it's a part-time person and they're only working a couple hours a day, take how many hours a day they're working times the number of days and put that amount in here. But never go over 700 unless they're retired. That's going to be the only way you'd go over 700 is if they're a retired teacher. And then you want to put their contract in here, the total that they're going to earn for the year. And if they have subbing, or if they have a, let's say they're going to be a coach and that's another $3,000, you would put $58,000 in there. We want to know the total that they're going to earn for this year. And then if you have a dual member, because there are some people that have worked for the state and now they're teaching. So if they are a PERS member, also you're going to hit yes for this. And that may be something you may have to ask them, because usually, we don't know that, and you probably don't know that. This person is not part-time, so I'm going to leave that no, but if they would be, you'd click the yes. And then their employer start date. And this is going to be the date that a lot of times it says right on your contract. They're going to start on August 5th, 2026. We want that date to be in there. And this is a really important date to watch. We've had some people that'll put, oh, they're starting in September, so I'm going to put, September 1st, 2026. But they're actually doing work for you. Like maybe they come in August and they are setting up their room, or that you've got some continuing ed stuff that they need to take before they actually start. If their contract says August 1st, you want to put that date in there, because otherwise, if you try to report stuff in August, it won't take it if you have a September date in there. So make sure that this date is accurate. We've had a lot of corrections we've had to do with this date. Make sure that it's making sense to salary that you have to report.
Tammy?
Yes.
I had another call from a business manager yesterday where it was that employment start date was not accepting like August 19th or 15th.
Oh,
I know we've had that before a couple days ago, but for some reason, August 5th worked. So, or August 3rd, I think. So if you're getting, as a business manager or a payroll person, entering this information in, and you get a 500 error, just like you saw, Tammy had just gotten it when she clicked on that validate address. If you get that error, try another date in August. Like for example, August 3rd was a Monday. Try
sure.
that date. As long as it's, if they start in August, at the end of August, and the system is not letting you go put that date in there or giving you an error, try August 3rd and see what that does, or August 1st, I guess.
I was gonna say, yep, August 1st is a good idea too. Yep. Yep. Thank you, Denise.
And then if you're
we
still, yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Thank you. So, and then put in their license number. So, and their expiration date. And this one doesn't have an asterisk by it. So if you don't know that, that's fine. I just tell people to do it just because it's easier to monitor. If you have somebody that has a life license, so somebody who's retired and now they're a lifer, we just suggest putting in a month and a date and then putting 2099 in there. By then we'll all be retired and we won't have to worry about it. So put that date in there. And then hit your next. And now you have a new enrollment set up. and I get a lot of calls on this too. People think they're done at this point. You still have to certify it. So if you come down to the bottom, and sometimes it doesn't show up on your screen, make sure everything's correct before we do this. So you don't want to certify it if it's not correct. And so you come down, make sure we have everything going good here. And then this is the part where you need to check this and put your name. Now, I do want to say this, like sometimes we'll have a warning in here, like it'll say license is expiring in 30 days, or they're already, set up. It might say something about they're in the payroll, but they have not been reported. I can't remember what the actual words are. You'll need to suppress that warning. So if there's a little box, you'll have to check the box, hit suppress warnings, and then you'll be able to certify it. But once you're able to put the checkbox in there, and if you get a red circle with a line through it, that means there's something going on. There's something not set up correctly for them. So go back and look at what you've entered, or let us know that you're getting that error, and we can look for it too. But then you'll put your name in here, and we hit submit. So they are now enrolled. That wizard works wonderful, guys. Once you get going on them, it cruises right through. And if you want to double check just to make sure that it's done, you can go to the hamburger menu, come on down to enrollments, right, kind of in the middle, do a search. And if you know the last, you can check the last name too if you want to search faster. But you can see now where we have added Zoe Volkert to Oaks, and it says processed. If you ever do make a mistake and you need to have it voided, we have to, actually Denise can do it on our side. So you have to just let us know. You can see where this one, maybe somebody was coming and they decided, nope, they voided their contract, they're not coming. So then we need to void them, but it has to be done on this side. And if this would happen to say review, that means there's something not finished. And a lot of times it'll be that you haven't certified it. You haven't checked the box and put your name on it. So, but once you see processed, this one is done. I want to open it up for any questions before Denise is going to show us how to do or talk a little bit about the return to teach.
So we just have one question from Cassandra, and just Denise did cover this a little bit, but again, if the contract, she says, if the contract date says August 1st, but they don't actually start until August 17, which date should they use, Tammy?
I think we should use the August 1st. From what Denise was talking about, I mean, you can try the 17th because that is the actual date. And if it works, fine. I think we've got just a little slip in our software that with the start date. If it doesn't work, then I would try the August 1st or August 2nd or whatever. You're still going to be fine because technically they're under contract for the full year for you. So it'll be fine, but I would try the correct one first. And then if not, try the
and
first
just go to like the beginning of that payroll period, maybe.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's before you report salary. Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like maybe it's not recognizing August 17, maybe because it isn't August 17 yet.
True.
Possibly.
I think that's what it's
Yes.
doing. Yeah. Yeah.
And
so
we do
I agree
have
with Tammy.
Yeah, we have an issue report in for it. So it's been added to our list, but we can work around it, which is nice.
Okay, I can
Okay.
go back to the other screen unless you guys want to do anything else here. I don't see any other questions. I don't see any hands raised. You guys can answer questions in the Q&A or raise your hand if you have questions. We can unmute you if needed. So otherwise, I'm going to go back to.
I was going to say, I want to say, I was going to do one thing before I stop sharing. I did want to mention this because I'm on the live demo. I might as well show it. So if you have the return to teach person, you're going to go back into this create an enrollment, and I can't do one because I'd have to find somebody who is retired, and then I'm showing you somebody's social security number. But you go into the new enrollment exactly how you did the other one. And then when you went into here and you put in that social security number of the person that's retired, it's going to bring up their information. And then now I'm going to hand it off to Denise because she's going to show you the screens that you'll see after you put in the social security number. I wanted to finish that. So I'm done.
Okay,
thanks,
so that would be the
Tammy.
same too for somebody who came from a different school district, correct?
Right. True. Yes.
And actually, Sarah, if you could share the screen, I do not have this or the presentation.
Yeah. No, I got it,
So
because I also have
perfect.
to
Thank
manage
you.
screens on the side here too today. So let me get to the next one. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so before I get to the slides, there's just a couple of items. So if you have hired a TFFR retiree or are considering hiring a TFFR retiree, there are several things that you must consider. And so we're going to quickly go through some of those. So retired TFFR members may return to TFFR covered employment under certain employment hour limitations. So if you are new to this business and you have a TFFR retiree, it is really important to kind of stay ahead of the details surrounding the return to work program. Because there are hour limits, and those hour limits apply to TFFR covered employment, which includes teaching, supervisory, and administrative duty. Now, this next thing is really important to know. The hour limits do not apply to extracurricular duties, non-contracted and in-staff subbing duties, and attending professional development sessions. Also, just a note, extracurricular means any duty outlined in the extracurricular schedule of an employer's master agreement, unless the duty was part of the retiree's regular job duties and base salary prior to retirement. That gets a little detailed, a little sticky, so let us know if you have any questions about that. And by the way, contracted subs are reportable. So please, if you want your subs to be able to sub every day, for example, they cannot be contracted. And I know there are some schools that are contracting subs, as a retiree, those positions are reportable. Because they're contracted. Now, the second thing is, now keep in mind that under both federal and state law, a teacher must terminate employment to be eligible to retire and receive retirement benefits. Therefore, at the time of retirement, there can be no pre-existing agreement indicating reemployment after retirement. So in other words, if there's a retiree that just retired this past year, so June 1st or July 1st of 2026, make sure that there hasn't been any pre-existing arrangements for them to come back. Now, they can talk about it verbally, they just can't sign a contract until 30 days has passed. And they do have to be in payment with us. So make sure that when you're employing a new retiree, that they're in payment with us, and you're going to probably just want to ask them if they've applied for retirement with us and have accepted their first retirement benefit. Now, after the waiting period, you as the employer must notify our office of the retired member's return to work, and that's what Tammy was just showing you. Notification, of course, is made through the self-service portal enrollment process. Again, just like Tammy showed you, this process, along with a copy of the retiree's contract and employment agreement, must be submitted to our office each year the retiree is employed. So, unlike active members, you don't have to upload their contracts, but with retired TFFR members, you do. Now, I will say we were a little lax the last year in collecting that information. And so hopefully we can kind of get back on track. So if we do ask you for the contract for fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26, we're just trying to get kind of caught up from those years. Employer and member contributions must be paid on all retirement salary paid to retiree based on the employer plan model, excluding, of course, in-staff subbing, extracurricular, and professional development. And again, and it's almost, you can kind of think of it as a reset every year, because these return to work options, first of all, sometimes they change, but they have to almost, and not that they're applying for these options, but in the case of a critical shortage area, which we're going to talk about in a bit, they do have to apply for that every year. And so it's almost like resetting their employment record every year. Now, the other thing, of course, failure to notify TFFR or pay the correct contributions may result in a penalty for the employer and also loss of 1 month of retirement benefits for the retired teacher, which nobody wants to do that. So the other thing is if a retiree performs teaching duties, supervisory or administrative duties for more than one TFFR covered employer, in other words, if they're employed by 2 employers, make sure all hours worked for the covered employers must be counted towards the annual hour limit. So if you're sharing an administrator, for example, the administrators cannot do 1,000 hours in your school and 1,000 hours in another school and 1,000 hours in another school. The employment together can only total 1,000 hours. So that's just one example. And then, the last thing, because of the impact returning to work could have on the retiree's retirement benefit, make sure the retiree contacts TFFR to discuss all their options. And of course, feel free to contact myself, Denise Langing Sargent, or Jamie can also help you here in the office. Okay, so with that, if you're looking at the screen that Sarah is sharing, once you populate their social security number, this is the screen that will show up. And it may pre-populate from the year prior. And of course, if it's a newly retiree or if it's somebody that did not return to work last school year, this will not be pre-populated. So make sure that you answer all those questions. Do the best you can on the total estimated contracted hours. Again, as Tammy mentioned, you can go over the 700 hours, but then the option has to agree as well. So on your screen, the drop down is under the return to work option. There are 3 options: critical shortage area. Well, first of all, there's the general rule, and that's the annual hour limit. So if it's a 9-month position, they're only allowed to work up to 700 hours. If it's a 10-month position, they can do 800 hours. 11-month position, they can do 900 hours, and a 12-month position, they can do 1,000 hours. Under exception A, critical shortage area, they can exceed the hour limit, but it does have to be in a subject area that is approved by ESPB. And I can tell you that for 26-27, all subject areas are critical except administration. So under no circumstances, I guess, under the administrators need to fall under the general rule, keeping it under 1,000 hours or less. And then, of course, there's also exception B, benefit suspension. Last year we had, I think, 4, and all 4 of those retirees are, or actually there were 5. All 5 of them are going to retire and not come back next year full time. That gets really sticky. Please do not do that on your own without talking to us. Excuse me. Also, as Tammy mentioned, you want to estimate the total earnings. We don't really care so much about how much they're making. It does have to be reasonable to the hours that they're working, however. And also the total estimated eligible earnings are only for retirees are only those that are reportable. So teaching, supervisory, and administration. So don't count the hours towards any extracurricular or professional development or in-staff subbing. Most of these retirees will be part-time, but there's a lot of them that go under the critical shortage area where they can work full-time and exceed the hours. And of course, the employment end date cannot be anything beyond 6/30 of this current year. So, okay, next screen, Sarah. So when you go, okay, so this is the subject, this is the subject area, and just do the best you can. I know some of your teachers will work in multiple subjects, but do the best you can there. Let's see, next screen. Okay, now this is the important one as well, contract period. So that's what I was talking about earlier. If it's a 9-month position, they can only work up to 700 hours and so forth. So make sure that you're indicating the correct contract period. Tammy, anything that you want to add?
No, I think you did great. We're good.
Okay, I think then we can go to the next screen. Okay, now this is, again, I don't know how much we've talked about this with you, but a lot of these retirees do not have like an actual physical contract that they sign. Some of them do, and that's easy for you to upload. And by the way, to upload a document, there is a tile called Upload a Document on your home screen, and that's how you can upload a contract for these retirees. But it could be, if they don't have a contract, it could be any written, because by definition in state law, a contract is any written agreement between, you know, the person and the school, or the employer, I should say. And so it could be minutes, board minutes. It could just be, you know, some sort of work agreement. Could be a letter to them, or an email, or whatever it is. And so that's what you would want to upload. That is about all I think I have. What's the next screen, Sarah? Okay, yeah. So if you have any questions, I guess put it in the Q&A. Is it Q&A or is it the chat? It's Q&A, I think.
We're
And we
using
will
the
do our
Q&A
best.
today, yes, and they can also raise their hands, and I don't see any hands raised or any questions.
Okay, and we went over this very quickly. We do our best to answer your questions. I know it's really complicated with Return to Teach, but you know, let us know if you have any questions going forward. So, okay, that's all I have. Back to you, Tammy.
Okay. The next screen, I just want to show you some resources so that if you didn't get all this today, I'm going to share, and I want to go into, let's see here, this, and let me open up. I had this ready. There we go. So this is our website, and I just want to show you a couple things. We have some new business managers, and they don't even, you know, learning where to upload the reports. Here's your employer login right here on our website. And our website is www.rio.nd/gov. But there's some great resources. So if you go on our website, we've got down here, we've got, or actually, I have to go to TFFR employer first, sorry. And then we have our employer guide, which is going to show you what's reportable and what's not reportable. We've got our self-service handbook, which is a different screens and how to navigate through them. And in fact, all the new enrollment screens will be in there. We also have MyTFFR resources. Some of the things, if you're getting file level errors, this is a really good document to look at. Show you that. We have great videos out on YouTube. Here's our YouTube button right here. Just go into there and it'll take you into some of those. And then one of the things that people don't even realize is we have a help button right on your dashboard. So if you're on your home and you go into the dashboard, get help, put in your question, and it's a great resource also. So I wanted to go through those real quick. Okay, let's do a termination because a lot of you are dealing with this with your retirees and with people refunding right now. So we're on our home. We're going to go back
I
to
just stole the screen from you, Tammy.
Oh, okay. Let me get back in there. Go to here, share. This one. Okay, so we're back on the home button. We're on your dashboard. We're going to go back into create an enrollment. And this time you're going to pick the termination for the enrollment type. And again, this is for people that if they're retired, so that they can start getting their benefits. This is for people who aren't coming back. You want to terminate them. And we're telling people, if you know people that are done, they're going to a different school, they're leaving the state, terminate them, because a lot of times they're going to want a refund or they're going to want to check into their account. So you go ahead and terminate people, but don't do it until you're done reporting all their salary. So we always, like, let's say somebody's leaving in December. You could go in and terminate them for January 31st. Don't do it until you have all this, make sure that the time period is after the last report that you're going to have with salary for them. Otherwise it closes them out and we have to fix that on our end. And if you've got retirees, like at the end of the year, put 6/30 of that year. So we had everybody putting 6/30/2026. Make sure everything is getting reported before you go ahead and terminate them.
And Tammy, were you referring to the active teachers that just retired? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yep. The ones that
and then
retired this year.
Yep. And then I have another question, Tammy. So for all of these return to work members,
yes, those should all be terminated.
Assuming, yes, that they should all be terminated each year. So you have to do a new enrollment at the beginning of the year, terminate them at the end of the year as of 6/30, and then do another new enrollment if they come back the next year. Okay.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Denise. Her team is dealing with all of that now. And if they're not terminated, when people are trying to re-enroll them, it's creating errors. So they're having to contact and make sure that people are getting terminated before they try to do this step that I'm working on right now. So yes, thank you, Denise. Anybody who just retired, if you haven't done it, go in and terminate them. So that way, if they come back to work, that step is done. So then you're going to pick your organization name, which should be in there. And then this is where we're going to look for our person who is leaving. And we just added Zoe, so she's going to come up. And then all her information should be in here. I'm not sure why that isn't in there. Put that in there, and then you hit next. And employment is Oaks, and it should bring up this information for you also. It's got all of her employment IDs and everything and her employment start date. And then next, and her employment end date. I think I can do that. We'll see. Not sure on the dates. I should have made it 8/1 as her start date. And then hit next. And then again, you have to certify it. So we're going to click that. We're going to put my name in here. And again, if you had any warnings, you need to suppress those. And we're going to hit submit. Yay! Go back up to your hamburger menu. Go to your enrollments. Do a search. And now we should have Zoe's new enrollment that we did. But now we have terminated her. And normally they're not going to be a day apart. They could be years apart. But now you can see where because it's processed, the termination is complete. And a lot of times the member specialists like Jamie and Denise will reach out to you and say, hey, we need a termination date. This is how you do that process. I did that really quick. I think our next screen, I think I can stop sharing again, Sarah. Oh, no, I'm going to keep going, guys, because I want to, I didn't want to hold you
Tammy,
past
we
too
do
long.
have a couple questions, and looks like it says Diane says I have a teacher who retired in 2023, returned to work 25-26, and will work again for 26-27. Do I need to terminate her before I do the enrollment again?
Yes, and that was the part that Denise was talking about. Yes, you have to terminate her before you can do the new enrollment for your return to teach retirees. Yes, good question.
Okay. And then we have a question from Cassandra. So if I have teachers that aren't returning this fall, but are not retired, I can terminate them as of 6/30. Their reported contributions should all be done as of the June upload.
Correct.
Is that a return? Yep. Okay.
That was if you have teachers that resign, teachers that are not returning this fall, but are not retired. So they should also be, they should have also been terminated before you start your new fiscal year, correct?
Yes. Yep. That way if they go to another school
now.
or, yep.
Yeah, which Shirley had a similar question. If they are a retiree from 25-26 and they are returning for 26-27, is it necessary to terminate? So this is retirees. Is it necessary to terminate them prior to entering their information? So Denise,
they would have already been retired or terminated because they can't go through the retirement process unless they've already been terminated.
But I think she meant
in the system.
Yeah. but this was somebody that worked last year. I think she was meant as a retiree and then coming back as a retiree again, correct?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
when someone retires, you terminate them, but also if they return to teach every year, return to teach members need to be terminated
Yes.
at the
Yep.
close of the school year.
Yes, thank you for
Okay.
restating that. Yeah, it's clear as mud and it's a little messy, but
Yeah. No,
Thank
and
you.
the questions are kind of jumping around too, so I wanted to make sure that I was getting everybody too. So
yeah, and it's just confusing. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and if people have questions, they should always submit a contact ticket if they're not 100% certain.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was going to say, as Tammy said, we can always go back and fix it or add them in after the fact. But if you do something and then we have to fix it because you weren't sure, then it's a bigger problem.
Right. Right. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead just a little bit. The rest of the screens were just showing you our resources again, which I've showed you, but there are the termination resources out there. So, specifically look for them on the YouTube video or, under the handbook, that type of thing. Because we're getting so many contact tickets right now on the employer payment plan model, I do want to show you that real quick. So every year you have to pick your model, whether you're staying the same or whether you're changing. And where that is you go into the hamburger menu and then you go to organization details, which is right here. And then you go down and it's cleverly hidden. It's the last one on the end here, under other details. And like I said, you have to do this every year. So just because you're not changing, you still have to put in the start date and the end date for this new fiscal year. If you don't do this, it will not let you upload your report. So we've got a lot of contact tickets on people wondering why their reports aren't uploading. Probably haven't picked the model. So you just go in and do the new button. And let's say they're going to stay the same. So I just pick the Model 2 partial again. It's going to automatically put in your 26, 27 school year. And then we're going to put the 9% in here because they're not changing. And then the save button is way up in the corner on the left-hand side. Oops. Let me see. Did we already do this one? Oh, we already added one. Sorry. So it won't let me do it again. But this is what it would look like once you hit the new. We must have been playing around with this one. So it'll show this the new date. One reminder is if you are changing your model, the percentage pickup, like let's say she wanted to do 9.5%, they can only be full percentages now. So the next jump would be a 10%. You can't do the 7.5 anymore. We can't do the 3.75 anymore. It has to be full percentage amounts. You could go back down to 8%, or you could go up to 10% or 11%. If you are a full model, like you're going to pick up everything, then it is 11.75. But that's just because that's the legislature that picked that amount. And so it is an odd number. So you can pick 11.75, but anything in between, the system requires us to have full percentage numbers. But make sure you do this before you try to upload your report.